Hey, I'm live on this Friday morning. Good morning, everyone. Hitting it up on 4 platforms right now: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So if you are out there, please say hello. Good morning. Really nice to be here this morning. I'm in a different location today, different background. That's okay. Figured I'd switch it up. Some Christmas decorations behind me. And it is still Friday, so here I am. How's everyone doing today? Everyone hear me okay? Thumbs up. Hello. If you're out there on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, and you are able to say hello and let me know that I am loud and clear and streaming strong, that would be awesome. Thank you, Dr. Maria. Lovely day to you. Lovely day to you as well. I am so psyched to be here. So I have an awesome day today, just totally excited. So many of you who've been following me for a while may know my history just with loving the music of Billy Joel, because my dad and I used to sing and play music to Billy Joel. And when he passed in my early 20s, that is a way that I just kind of conjure him up. I just listen to Billy Joel and I remember all the wonderful things about my dad and I sing along. And so I was raised on Billy Joel. And so tonight I am going to see Billy Joel with Stevie Nicks and I cannot wait. And here's the cool part. I mean, it's kind of sad and kind of cool at the same time. So I was supposed to go with my husband. And we haven't had like a night out like that where we've spent the night at the hotel or anything in a very, very long time. And so we had planned, we had booked a hotel. We had decided we're going to go downtown. We're going to see the show. We're going to stay, in the hotel. And we made all these arrangements so that we could be away from the house for the night. And my husband got sick. And so he has this miserable cough. And although he feels pretty good at this point, because like the acute part of it is gone, he's got this horrible cough and it's worse at night. He's like, fine. He goes to work during the day. And then at night, it just lets loose. And so he was like, I really don't think I can go like to this concert. Like I would just be miserable. Right. And I was like, oh man. So you know who I'm going to take? It's kind of a blessing in disguise. So because of my history with Billy Joel and how that bonded me to my dad, I'm going to take my oldest son with me and I'm going to let him see 2 of the top rock icons in the world and see how he likes it. And I don't know how he'll like it. I mean, he kind of knows Billy Joel a little. Hi, Natalie. He kind of knows Billy Joel a little because he's heard me, play it over the years throughout his childhood. And he knows Fleetwood Mac. I don't know how much of the Stevie Nicks portion he will know, but he's never been to a huge rock concert. And I can't think of a better one to be your first one, And so he's not acting excited yet because I just told him this morning, hey, by the way, you're going with me. But I don't know. I think it'll be fun. We're going to channel his grandpa, my dad, and I'm just going to dance and I'm going to sing and I'm just going to let it all out and then really enjoy some quality time with my kid. So, blessing in disguise. I think that's a great example of how to reframe things. It's like this morning I was like, man, we had planned this thing. They were expensive tickets. We have amazing seats. And I'm like, it sucks because I really wanted to spend it with my husband. And then I thought, okay, but he won't be sick during the holiday. Like there's some bonus. And it gives me an opportunity to do something really cool with my son who, maybe this was meant to happen this way, right? My dad wanted him to see Billy Joel with me. And, whatever happened and the world came down that way and we're just going to go and have a fantastic time. So I know that's a lot about me, but I'm just so excited. And I just want you guys to kind of maybe take this as a lesson is like, things happen, man. Like, what are you going to do? Like, you just have to reframe them. You have to find some other silver lining in them. I mean, I thought about taking a girlfriend. That would have been a ton of fun, like just to take a girl and dance and have a night out. And I had a couple lined up that were like, yeah, we could probably go. And then I thought, Cameron really needs to see this. So I'm excited. I'll try to post stuff to my stories if possible. But I literally cannot wait. Like, I'm just like, I'm so excited. So I will be heading out there to have dinner really early today at like 4:00 so I can get to the show at 7 and watch these 2 amazing icons just blow up the stage. So let's all put some energy out there that Cameron will be blown away by it and totally into it so that I'm not up there just dancing by myself, which I will totally do. So I'm either going to be embarrassing mom or like cool mom. We'll see which one happens, right? Let's see. You say it may take him years to understand how amazing. I know, and he's starting to recognize like these little, like he's starting to recognize stuff. Like he bought a Creedence Clearwater T-shirt the other day, and he was like, he listened to an album of Bob Marley and things like that. And I was like, okay, so imagine you seeing them. And just like, you're going to look back on this and be like, oh my God, I saw Billy Joel and Stevie Nicks together. You know, it's kind of like when I saw Billy Joel with Elton John many, many years ago. I will never, ever, ever forget that concert. It was freaking amazing. Right. So anyway, I'm way psyched. So lots to do. This last minute switcheroo with my husband and my kid, but I'm excited. So we are here for Q&A. I don't know if you're new here. If you are, I'm Dr. Trisha Pingel. Love to meet you. Say hello. Hi, Hammy and Clarissa. I like it. Hi, Naya. How are you, hun? I'm live on 4 platforms, which means if you're posting questions in, I'm just going to kind of jump around and take one at a time. You can start putting some questions in. We have about 45 minutes. I'm happy to answer questions that you have. I am an expert in adrenal fatigue and stress, and more specifically, the stress on those of you that don't have time to deal with it. Not those of you that are laying flat on the couch and unable to do anything because you're so exhausted, but those of you that are so exhausted and have to keep running. Any of those out there? I know, moms. I know, me. I feel like I'm running around all the freaking time. In fact, I was recording some reels yesterday and getting a total chuckle out of it because I was like, this is so real. Like the number of hats that I wear. Anyone else relate to this? The number of hats that I wear. I'm the dishwasher. I'm the chauffeur. I'm the laundry. You know, I'm the chef. You know, I'm the psychiatrist. I'm the doctor. I'm the veterinarian. Right? I mean, like, I'm everybody. Like, what do you need? You can't find something? I'm mom. I'm the detective. Like, you know, and so I think so many of us, both parents, moms and dads, we run around just doing so much for so many other people that we often completely forget to take care of ourselves. We don't put that self-care on that list of hats, right? So really, really, really important. And something that I hope all of you get out of these sessions is learning how to care for yourself and learning that, you know, yes, we can do a lot, but we also have to not do a lot. Like we kind of have to set those boundaries, right? So, hi, Erin, how are you? Naya says, doing great. Glad I could catch you this week. I enjoyed watching the replay from last week. Oh, good. I'm adding a few things to help support my liver that you listed from last week's live. Awesome. Very good. So, good. Liability, hypertension. I don't know that I've heard that terms. Hang on. Maybe it's just a different word. Oh, label hypertension. Okay, so meaning that the person's blood pressure fluctuates between normal and high. So like, for example, a white coat syndrome would be an example of that, right? You go to the doctor, you see the doctor in a white coat and your blood pressure goes up. Okay, so here's the cool thing. I got you, hun. I'm answering it, right? I think I'm answering it. Tell me if I'm wrong. So it's when there's a fluctuation, like your blood pressure may be normal sometimes and high other times. And so here's the thing. When we think of yourself in the woods and you see a bear and you start to run from a bear, what happens to your blood pressure? It goes up, right? Yeah, that's a natural response to stress. Okay, so your body's blood pressure should go up when you're stressed out. If it doesn't, the bear will eat you. So if you're someone who typically has a low baseline or a lower normal baseline, and then you find that you get these spikes, you definitely need to find the stress on the body. There's some sort of cortisol output or epinephrine output. There's a sympathetic nervous system output. And often what doctors will do is put you on a beta blocker that you take as needed, right? A beta blocker blocks sympathetic output. But imagine that in your head, you're thinking, I'm running from a bear. There's a bear. And someone says, nope, sorry, not going to give you what you need to run from the bear. You're going to freak out internally, right? So a beta blocker will take the blood pressure down, but it doesn't remove the stressor. So often what happens is we end up with higher adaptation to that stressor. So the next time our blood pressure goes up, it goes up a little bit higher, right? Because it's trying to overcome it, because it's normal to raise your blood pressure when you're being chased from a bear. Does that make sense? So when it comes to that, what I would look at is doing more things with the parasympathetic nervous system. So calming the body, yoga, Tai Chi, Pilates, amino acids like L-theanine, phosphatidylserine, herbs like ashwagandha, something like my total stress support, which is a blend of what I just spoke of, that can help calm the body and put it into parasympathetic output. You've got to get rid of the bear or pet the bear, like hug it and not be scared of it. Most of the time, that's what I find. Keep in mind, as an additional side note, that B vitamins are highly involved in this process as well. So it might be worth screening homocysteine. Okay. Does that help? All right. I saw another question there. Oh, it was just you trying to type it. That's funny. Hello, everyone just joining in. Dr. Trisha Pingel here, live Q&A. Jump on in. Naya, could a cold virus cause the liver to slow down its detoxification process? Yes, which is why often when you have a cold, I really encourage IV nutrition and hydration because it helps kind of force you to detox. You kind of have to take that stuff out of your body. There's a lot of really good value to milk thistle during a cold or virus. Which is a liver support, but it's also an antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory. It has a lot of benefits to that. So yeah, it will. Seems like my BP, my blood pressure goes higher with situations as I get older. Yeah, because you've run from a lot of bears, right, Erin? The longer you go and the longer that you adapt, the more proficient your body gets at adapting and it overcompensates. So it's what I was talking about before, where yeah, it's high and then maybe someone takes something or you do something and then the body tries to overcome that, right? So our bodies are really smart, guys, and the nervous systems run our response. So if it's not getting the response it wants, it's going to push it harder. Okay, so B vitamins are really important. Stress report is really important. And also learning how to breathe in those moments. A lot of the times you'll have your blood pressure cuff. If you check your blood pressure and then you take some really deep breaths for like 5 minutes or meditate, often you can bring your blood pressure down by 20 points. So try that in those situations. Okay. Hi, Robbie. How are you? Good to see you. Robbie says, good morning, Dr. Pingel. I absolutely love so many of your supplements. Aw, thanks. You had mentioned before about a magnesium supplement, was wondering when it might be available. All right, announcement. My magnesium will be delivered today. Aha! I have not put it on the website yet because I've got to do some graphic mock-ups to put it on the website. I might just do a temporary picture, but that means it is actually coming down the pipeline like way soon. So I'm really excited. It's a powdered magnesium glycinate. It has a little bit of a flavor to it, which is a plant-derived flavor. And it's like kind of like a raspberry. You can put it in smoothies. You can put it in water. I've had no trouble taking it, and I'm really sensitive to the taste. I don't like certain tastes. So yeah, it's been great. So I am really excited to say I just got the notification that FedEx will be here today. So I will have it today. So for those of you waiting for that, can you give me a few days? I got to go to Billy Joel tonight. I can't get it out today, but I'll get it on the website. I promise. I'm even going to make myself a note, right? On Monday to make sure I get it up on website, even if it has a temporary picture, I'll go ahead and put it up. So for those of you that are champing at the bit, you can order it. For those of you that want all the information about it, you're just going to have to give me a few days to get it all up there. Okay? Deal? Are you excited? Yeah. Robbie says, I am so excited. Erin is, I am looking forward to it. Awesome. I did this because you guys asked for it. So I really hope that you like it and, you try it, and I'm way psyched. So it's going to be a great blend. I did see a question over here on Instagram. How are we doing on YouTube? Anyone out there? LinkedIn? All right. All right. This is a question about probiotics. I'm trying to learn more about probiotics to add to my homemade yogurt. And I knew you mentioned Saccharomyces boulardii. Yeah, love it. Purchased the Now brand as I've been researching it more prior to adding it. I haven't worked with the Now brand much. I'm not sure on the long-term stability on that product. I do use Now for like vitamin C, chewables, and things like that. I don't know that their specialty is GI probiotics, and it takes a specialist to make shelf stable. I don't know if they have it as shelf stable or if you have to keep it in the fridge, but it does take a very specific lab to be able to create probiotics that can hold their efficacy. So what it could be that it's all there when they package it, but by the time you get it, it goes down in efficacy. I would have to look up their standards. You can also call the brand and ask them how they prepare their probiotics. If they don't know the answer, they're like, that's not a good sign. So I would highly recommend, if you're looking for one that has Saccharomyces boulardii along with Bacillus and Lactobacillus, take a strong look at my Total Probiotic. I don't have it behind me today, guys, because I have someone staying in my guest house, so I'm not in my normal office. But yeah, my Total Probiotic has a blend of Lactobacillus, Bifido, and Saccharomyces boulardii, and the amount on the label is what it's at expiration. So it has a year expiration date. So prior to expiration, it's way higher than that. So the problem sometimes with trying to pick a probiotic, so picking a probiotic can be difficult because the label has a lot of information on it. One, is there an expiration date? If there is not an expiration date, ditch it. It's not real. Number two, is the label labeled at what the count was at packaging or at expiration? That's another thing to look at. And then three, if they say it's shelf stable, what medium was it grown on? So there's only so many mediums, and it takes a lot of biochemistry in a lab to make it shelf stable. Totally possible, but there's a lot of research that goes behind it, okay? If you are allergic to milk, be careful. A lot of them are grown on a milk base. Mine is grown on an apricot base. So those are some things to continue. Erin says, highly recommend Dr. P's probiotic. Thank you. I love it. It's what I take. I find it to help with leaky gut because it has the Saccharomyces boulardii, and it also helps keep a really good bacterial flora in the gut. So it's one of my favorites. It's also a top seller at my store. So if you're looking for one, that's a good one. But good questions. I love it. I also have an article on how to pick a good probiotic. I think I'm actually sending it out through email. I was just drafting it yesterday. I think it might go out next week. It might be this week. I think it's next week. I found some concerns about fungus and yeast problems. Yeah, so Saccharomyces boulardii is a yeast. So it's a little bit different than but it's not the same as a candida. Okay, so some people would say, well, you can't have it if you have a candida overgrowth because it's a yeast. I haven't always found that to be the case. There are some people where I just remove all fungus, so I don't give them Saccharomyces boulardii for a short period of time, depending on the extent of the infection. But technically, Saccharomyces boulardii would be a beneficial yeast that would be helping improve the immune function in the gut, or the IgA. So it doesn't mean that it's an absolute no, but depending on your situation, your doctor may say, hey, temporarily, let's not do this. But I would definitely put it back in at some point because it's a beneficial yeast. And I don't know, and you are right with certain, missed what I was talking about. Right now, I'm talking about probiotics on a question. I'll go to the next question. You'll catch up. You're putting it in yogurt, which is great. So yeah, I mean, I don't know about the Now brand, but yeah, if it's not made well, that would be a problem. So you'd want to look at those factors and check out the website. Hello. Tara is waiting impatiently for my supplements to arrive. Really? Wow. I'll check. I can't remember when you ordered them, but I will double check. They should be there. I don't feel like I've had to mail anything out in the last couple of days. Today I did, but it wasn't yours. So I'll have to look. That's me. I had fungus with valley fever. Yeah. Is the yeast okay for celiacs? The Saccharomyces boulardii is okay for celiacs. I mean, we don't want candida overgrowth with celiacs, right? Because that would mean that the integrity of the gut is not where it needs to be. Saccharomyces boulardii actually can help in celiac because it helps prevent leaky gut, and helps protect the gut, and it helps lower inflammation in gut and boost and help the immune system. So I highly actually recommend that probiotic for celiacs in general. So Tara, I'll check after this live, but hopefully you have a tracking information on it. Or if you ordered this morning, maybe that's why. Oh my gosh, I caught up on Instagram. What's going on? You guys are normally flying. All right. For those of you just joining in, Dr. Trisha Pingel, it's a live Q&A. Jump on in, ask some questions. I'm here for you. I'm a naturopathic physician, specialize in adrenal fatigue. How many of you have taken my adrenal fatigue quiz? Anyone? And was anyone surprised by the results? Did they either think they didn't have adrenal fatigue and it turned out they did, or they thought they did and they were better than they thought? Anyone? I'd love to know. It's interesting because I've taken it like every 6 months, I'll go in and take it and my score keeps getting lower, which is cool, you know? Robbie took the quiz. Okay, tell me what you thought. Were you surprised or were you like, wow, that was spot on? Really curious. If you haven't taken the quiz, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I have a quiz in my link in bio. I also have it on my website. Or when this is over, you can, during the live, it doesn't work, but if afterwards you comment on any of my posts on Instagram or Facebook, if you comment the word quiz, it'll DM you a link to take the quiz if you didn't. Naya said, I've taken the quiz. I was way better than I thought. Well, that's good. I like it. Right? Tara says, I keep tracking it. Tracking it. It expected delivery keeps changing. Okay. So at least it's on its way. I can't control the post office. I always say it's like I pack them up and get them out as fast as I possibly can. I try to get them out within 24 hours, unless sometimes it's like I have a shipment coming in and I'm like short one bottle. So it may take me a day or two to get it out. But once it gets in the hands of the post office, man, I just never know, especially this time of year. Robbie says, speaking to the adrenal fatigue quiz, Robbie says, I didn't know mine was so bad. Since following your program, my score has improved significantly. Really? How much has it improved, Robbie, since doing my program? Robbie is talking about my total energy turnaround program, which I'll be launching again, guys, I think in March or April. So keep a lookout for that. I'll start sending emails out at the beginning of the year, but I think it's going to be March or April. And she did my 4-step program, where it's a group program where we all kind of go through it together and I lead you on how to reduce stress on the body. And so she said her adrenal fatigue score has continued to drop since doing that, which is awesome. And I know you had some great improvements from that too, which was just, you did a great job. I hope you're keeping it up. And it's really nice to see you in a live. I get to know all of you in these group programs, and then like the group program ends and I feel like I don't get to see you anymore and it makes me really sad. But people have to graduate, I guess. Have you seen probiotics help with multiple myeloma? That's a great question. So I'm not a cancer specialist. So as far as I don't have extensive research in working with multiple myeloma itself. I've had a couple personal friends have multiple myeloma, and I have a good friend who does naturopathic oncology. So I'm familiar, but I don't have a lot of personal experience. But I will say, anytime you're dealing with an immune system issue, probiotics are going to be helpful. It's very rarely that I don't see probiotics helpful in the long run. Sometimes you have to take them out temporarily if there's a massive overgrowth of something to not feed the wrong bug. But for the most part, they're only going to improve your gut integrity, which is absolutely going to help in that situation. They're only going to improve your immune function, which is absolutely going to help in that situation. They're going to improve your mood, which is absolutely going to help in that situation. So I think in general, probiotics are always a great recommendation. And it's the reason why I recommend them. People are like, well, what do you recommend for adrenal fatigue? And I go through the list, and probiotics is usually on there because there's a very strong connection between the gut and the brain. And guess what, guys? Our brain dictates whether or not we're going to be under stress or not. That's right. Your head determines how it's going to interpret something. Your brain goes, uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. And that's what stimulates the adrenal glands. So if you can change the way that you interpret stress, the way that your brain responds to stress, if you can work with the fear response in a favorable way instead of a detrimental way, you can actually lower adrenal fatigue 100% by just going here. The supplements help replete everything that was lost, because when you're under adrenal fatigue and you're under stress, you lose a lot of nutrients, you lose a lot of your biochemistry gets jumbled, and that causes other symptoms, right? And other problems like thyroid problems, hormone problems, other gut overgrowths, food allergies, joint pain, autoimmune stimulation, things like that. So a lot of the times the supplements will help keep that at bay while you're working on this piece. Because guess what, guys? This is the hardest piece. Our brains are amazing, aren't they? Hey. Hey, Mike. Hey, Westy Weave. Hello, Miss Restoring Wellness Company. How you doing? Let's see. Um, this time of year, the post office gets slammed. Yeah. Oh, Stephanie has a great question on Facebook. So let's talk iron. You guys want to talk iron? This is always a very popular topic. Let's talk iron. So Stephanie says, can we talk iron today? Do postmenopausal women need to watch their iron intake? I don't take iron supplements, but I eat a plant-based whole food diet. No meat, lots of fruits and vegetables. Please explain how the body uses iron. Does exercise use it up? Also, what blood test do I ask for to watch iron levels as a transition? My iron level is great, not considered high, but the highest it's ever been since I stopped dairy and meat. I absorb iron very well now. Great question. So when we talk about iron, there's a few different things to consider, okay? Number one, know your iron levels. These should be screened. These should be screened every year. Here's what I screen: ferritin, iron, and TIBC, okay? Those need to be looked at. Ferritin, and a CBC, a blood count, okay? So 3 things. Well, it's 4, iron and TIBC, but you got me. Anyway, why do we look at that? Ferritin is the storage of iron. It's like a suitcase that stores extra iron. So for those of us that menstruate, you would have a backup set of iron there for when you have blood loss, right? And it replenishes it. And then the body should replenish the ferritin. So ferritin, if that is low, that is the first sign of potential iron deficiency. Conventional doctors go the opposite way. They start with anemia. They screen the CBC. And if there's no anemia, they say your iron is fine, and they work the other way. I encourage you to flip it. Go with the first signs. If your storage of iron is low, at some point, you're going to run out of iron. And when you run out of iron, it's going to cause an anemia, right? So ferritin first, iron and TIBC will then tell you what's floating around. So when you say your iron levels are high, or high normal or whatever, that's what that is. That's what's bioavailable, but we still don't know what's stored, okay? The third thing would be the CBC, which is the blood count, which tells us, are there changes to the hemoglobin, the hematocrit, or the red blood cell? If there are changes to those, we've moved down this pathway right away. Now, on the flip side, if you went to the doctor, they ran just a CBC, saw you were anemic, and immediately said you need to take iron, red flag. Say, can you check my iron and ferritin levels first? Because there are other reasons why you could be anemic. So if you're going to take iron, you want to make darn sure that you actually have low iron levels before you just throw it out there. Okay? So that answers kind of the lab question. How the body uses iron. Iron carries oxygen. Simple as that. So anyone who's had low iron before can go with me on this. You're going to have restless legs. You're going to have trouble sleeping. You're going to feel dizzy. Your head's going to feel foggy. Your fingers could go numb or cold. Your feet could go numb or cold. You will have a hard time with exercise tolerance. So this comes the exercise question. If you're trying to exert energy, what do you need? You need oxygen. If you don't have enough iron, you don't have enough oxygen. If you don't have enough oxygen, you can't possibly work out, right? So it carries oxygen. Simple as that. Okay. And so that'll affect everything you do. When I had low iron, and I had ridiculously low iron and ferritin levels for a very long time, totally undiagnosed because I didn't show up anemic. Totally missed, guys, by doctors. Years and years and years. Couldn't go on a roller coaster because if I went upside down, I would literally black out. I couldn't work out because I would get really fatigued. Like when I'd go up and down stairs, I'd be like, God, what the hell? And everyone said, oh, it's in your chest. You probably have a cold. No, it was iron. I had horrible restless legs and couldn't sleep. When I started restoring my iron, my restless legs went away completely and I started sleeping, right? I wasn't getting any oxygen. And guess what? When you're not getting any oxygen, how stressful is that on the body? Ridiculously stressful. So that also caused a secondary adrenal fatigue, right? So very, very, very important. You were saying about how you don't eat meat, right? So do you need to really watch your iron levels? You do, but there's a lot of iron in plant-based food. Lentils are a great one. And monitoring your iron. You're also not bleeding. You're postmenopausal, so you're not having that loss. So you're going to retain more ferritin than you would if you were bleeding. So the answer to that is really, are your iron levels, your ferritin levels, your iron levels, and your CBC holding strong? And if they're not, then you should either supplement or change your diet appropriately. last question of that. I know this is a long one. I'll put this on YouTube though, because this is a good one. Last question of that is, how do we absorb iron? We absorb iron in the stomach with hydrochloric acid and vitamin C. Anyone remember one of the number one deficiencies of adrenal fatigue? Two deficiencies, actually. Low stomach acid and low vitamin C. So a lot of the reasons adrenal fatigue and stress are also causing low iron, and low iron causes adrenal fatigue. Right? So do you have proper stomach acid? Are you absorbing other types of foods fine? Any sign of leaky gut, bloating, problems in the stomach, constipation, diarrhea, anything in the gut? Need to address that hydrochloric acid. Make sure you're also taking vitamin C with your iron. And lastly, don't take it with coffee or tea. It blocks it. I highly recommend taking your iron at night, particularly if you have restless legs or sleep issues. But yeah, so summary, ferritin, iron and TIBC, CBC, check all of those. Don't immediately give iron if you come back anemic. Know all those numbers first. Iron requires hydrochloric acid. It requires vitamin C to be absorbed, and its job is to carry oxygen to tissues. So you will have a lot of symptoms if you don't have enough iron. Did that answer it? Awesome. I'm going to circle that. We're going to post that one on YouTube. Great question. You have any follow-up questions to that? Pop and blow. Okay. What type of iron? Oh, I see some ahead of you, but I'll answer that real quick. I like plant-based irons. So there's a product called Floridex that's really readily available. I usually do it in liquid for people who have low ferritin because it brings it up very quickly. If you buy the one like at Walgreens or CVS, it causes constipation and people don't like it, and it doesn't raid iron fast enough, in my opinion. So the food that has the highest iron content is plant-based is blackstrap molasses. So yay for gingerbread. Yeah, I like Floridex. There's a couple others too, but they're professional lines. The Garden of Life Raw brand is pretty good too. I see a pretty good response to that without constipation or side effects. Yeah. Wow, excellent. I took notes. Thank you. Ha ha. And Aaron says, I thought magnesium took away my restless leg syndrome. Maybe it was the iron supplement too. It's a combination. They both cause restless legs. Restless legs is not just caused by one thing. I could list probably 20 different things, but those are very common reasons why. Magnesium's my go-to, but if I find low iron, that's usually compounding it. Don't take iron with black coffee or black tea. They block absorption. You can look that up too. Like you can look up what foods block iron absorption. That's a pretty good one. Okay. I'm going to back up a little bit here. Have you ever tried tapping to relieve fear and stress? Yes. I have a couple of videos on that, and I have an article on that. I like it. Have you guys ever done tapping? So you can relieve stress and recenter the brain and refocus the brain by doing tapping. So if you're tapping on the top of your head, and you're supposed to say something like, I am okay. Nothing is going to bother me. I will survive. Take deep breath. You're supposed to do some sort of affirmation of some sort, right? So yeah, and you just tap and you do it over and over again. There's actually a very calming aspect to that, and it actually works quite well. Most people jump to pharmaceuticals right away when they have anxiety, and I'm like, well, why don't you try tapping and affirmations and see how far you get, right? It's a great way to do it. Okay, I have a few more minutes here, guys. So if you have any more questions, please drop them out. Naya says, love blackstrap molasses. I eat a tablespoon of L-sulfured every day. Well, look at you. I love it. I like it in salad dressing. So if it's hard to take on its own, which it is, it can be tough. You can add it to salad dressings. That's a great way to do it. Or you could add it to baked goods. I don't know if I'd want to bake it as much, though. I'd probably want it more, liquid. All right, Westy Weave says, seeing a functional neurologist because I went into stage 3 after my hysterectomy. Stage 3 adrenal fatigue, you mean? What dietary changes should I start first? We are working on calming the midbrain so that it can do its job. My nurse practitioner put me on BHRT, DHEA, and progesterone, which were bottomed out. Okay, so here's my thought on this is remember that there's a huge pathway and the bottom of them are the hormones. So DHEA is in the middle, right? And if your DHEA was functionally low and you give DHEA, if you're using adrenal fatigue methods like stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system, using some of the herbs and amino acids that I talked about earlier, you're actually going to build the hormones below that, and you won't need bioidentical therapy. So as soon as you give bioidentical therapy down here, it's going to feed back up above and down regulate up here. So the one thing I always caution people is just because a hormone is low does not necessarily mean you should replete it. Sometimes you do, and hopefully your functional doctor is looking at the whole picture and has a plan, right, for messing with that. And obviously you had a hysterectomy, so hormones may be needed, but we need to start watching, how are the hormones converting? Are they converting to a storage form? Are they staying in an active form? How is the stress level? And what are you doing to support the nervous system? Because when you're constantly running from a bear, your body is not going to prioritize hormones. Another really important piece, which we talked about last week, I think you guys could probably go back and watch that one, was the liver. When you talk about liver, when we're talking about this type of thing, make sure the liver is on top of it, make sure the diet is good. So when I treat adrenal fatigue of any stage, I look at 4 aspects, okay? I look at the nutrition. We need to be putting in the right kind of fuel that your body needs. Number 2, exercise. We need to be doing exercises that help keep you strong and fit, but also don't overstimulate the brain, okay? Number 3, looking at supplementation. So there's certain nutritional markers that will always drop when you are under stress and you're in adrenal fatigue. B vitamins, vitamin C, gut flora needs to be a consideration. A lot of the minerals like magnesium, zinc, selenium, those tend to be low as well. And then the last part is mind body, really working on, okay, how am I now going to retrain the brain to not be so freaked out by this or that? And that's really hard, but it's doable, okay? So if you're looking at all 4 aspects with this doctor, and then you're also looking at the labs and customizing that treatment, that's great. If you find that you start these hormones and you start doing these things and you're not getting the results that you need, go back. You might have gone too fast on that. You just have to see. Does that make sense? Okay. Do I have any thoughts about hydrogenated water? Is it worth the expense? I say no. I'm sorry. Sorry to hydrogenated water people. I think if you're if you're drinking good water and you're taking care of yourself and you're getting good minerals and you're eating a good diet and you're exercising and you've got your mindset in check, why would you need to add anything to the water? People will argue with me. And and by the way, I don't doubt that somebody whose diet is not top notch and maybe under a ton of stress and isn't exercising and isn't taking care of themselves, they probably feel great when they drink that water. I just am not willing to take the expense. I'll eat to make that up. If your hemoglobin is normal and your ferritin is low, that means you need iron. Typically, yeah. I would also look at your iron levels though. Your hemoglobin can be low for other reasons. There's some more investigation there. But depending on how low the ferritin is, I would start with that in low dose typically. Talk to your doctor about that and then monitor the levels. And if the ferritin's coming up and the hemoglobin's improving, then there you go. Right? Right. Okay, guess what? It's 9:53 Arizona time, which means I got to wrap it up. And I am so psyched for this concert tonight. For those of you that joined in late, I'm going to see Billy Joel and Stevie Nicks. I can't wait. My dad and I used to just bond over Billy Joel. So I'm going to channel my dad tonight, and I'm going to take my 15-year-old son and I'm going to introduce him to 2 of the most amazing rock icons in the world, in my opinion. And I just cannot wait to go. I'm so excited. And Westy Weave says, thank you. You answered my question well. I am reading your book and I'm on part 2. Awesome. So that chapter on hormones talks a lot about what I just talked about. Okay. So just be careful with that, right? And follow-up question, how much iron do you think a postmenopausal woman needs per day? You'll have to check with your doctor on that. It really depends on your levels. Like I said, if you have normal iron levels, you don't need it, right? So the dosage could be anywhere from once a day to twice a day to 3 times a day, but it really depends on where you're at, where your levels are. And I always do the lowest effective dose, the lowest amount we need to see an improvement. If you're taking it once a day and you're seeing that levels come up to where they need to be, great, right? Why take more, right? So, all right, I'm psyched. I'm out of here, guys, but really good to see you. And here's the thing. Next week, I am actually at a conference next week. I'm still going to plan to go live. I don't know how it's going to go. It really depends. I may not be able to based on the keynote speakers or stuff. But what I will do is I will put it up on my story the night before. If for some reason my internet isn't working or there's some sort of conflict with the schedule, I will certainly let you know. and we'll skip it. But I hope to be here. And I love Billy Joel too. And yeah, I love Stevie Nicks. And I would love to play one of his songs going out, but I don't want to get cut off the air. So we're just going to put one in our head, and I'm going to go get ready and packed up, and I'm going to go have a great time. You guys have a fantastic weekend. I will hopefully see you next Friday. If I don't, I will see you a week after that. Thanks, guys. Awesome questions today. If this was helpful for you, follow, subscribe, share, comment, tell your friends about it, and let's get more people in here for a great conversation. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day.